For once, I have seen somebody who does understand quite a bit about the Somali people. And I want to thank you very much for all the efforts. It's not easy to understand Somali people. You can either hate them or love them. There is no middle ground. Somalia can be termed as a failed state in the contemporary nature, universally. It's not a failed nation. It's probably farther from being a failed nation than any other nation in the world. It's only because it is a homogeneous, solid nation that they have been able to achieve the kind of achievements they've achieved over this period of time. So whether it is by design or it is by inference or by the way things have happened, the international community also has its own fair share of contributions into the Somali conflict to stay the way it is. And basically, I think the beauty of it all, we had a problem initially being understood by the world. We had a problem understanding the world. I mean, both those barriers are being broken now. The Somalis all over the world, and the international community has no choice but to come to Somalia and understand them. So it can only get better. It can only get better. And I'm sure there are many people who are going to take. So thank you very much. It's a massive appreciation on our part. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'll tell you some things you might not know about Mary. She's hung around Somalis so much. You know, when you hang around Somalis so much, they give you names. Mary has different names depending on where she is. When she's in Somaliland, she's Mariam Heibe. When she is in Kenya, northeastern Kenya, she is Mariam Hared. And when she is in Djibouti, she is Mariam Higil. Higil. Funny thing is, Higil and Heibe mean the darkest shade of black. So you'll be excused to call Mary Black. I managed to read some parts of Mary's book. And in reading it, I think one of the astounding images that come to you is that in Somalia, it's not all about conflict. It's not all about conflict. It's not all about piracy. It's not all about, you know, the bad things that you hear on the media, Al Jazeera included. That there is more to the country. There is more to the country than you actually would see in the coverage by the international media. That there are peaceful parts of Somalia that have avoided being, you know, failed, being part of a somehow failed state. And it's not all about Al-Shabaab and so-called terrorists. And the book gives detailed analysis of what has gone wrong in Somalia. Also, it's not only, you know, a positive, you know, painting of Somalia. It also gives, you know, what has actually gone wrong, both the homegrown and imported elements that have led to the collapse of Somalia and the continued anarchy we continue to see in many parts of the country. We are told time and again that the best stories are those that have real human beings as their characters. In almost every page of Mary's book, there is a story about a human being, somebody, you know, not only the mighty, but also Somalia's weak. And many times, by the way, much more than the mighty, it's the weak that are showcased more. So I'd say the book is a book with a soul. I would recommend it to each and every one of you.
Getting Somalia wrong is answering 5 paradoxes, which I've come across as special representative of the Secretary General trying to work with Somalis to bring peace and stability in that country. For people who are non-Somalis and even East Africans, they ask me the following 5 questions, which are paradox. You come from Tanzania. And one of the sources of strength in Tanzania is that you speak one language. And your country has remained stable. How come that Somalis, who not only speak one language, but have a solid culture of hundreds of years, have not been able to have stability? I think now an answer, I say, go and read this book. There are others who ask me too, and say, Somalia is probably the only country in sub-Saharan Africa where there is one religion. And it's not only a religion that came as a veneer to a society. It arrived in Somalia before it arrived in Medina, Islam. So it has deep roots, and there is every imprint into the culture. In my country, Islam and Muslims, we are 50-50. Of course, we coexist. But the Muslims there were Muslims before the others became Christian. Christians are maybe 100, 200 years. But the solid foundation of religion in Somalia, to many people say, should have been a source of strength. It is still a source of strength. And for those people who ask, how come a country with one language, with one religion, is still unstable? Go and read Mary Harper's book. Instead of getting things wrong, or getting Somalia wrong, let's get Somalia right. They can do what we are witnessing in Somaliland, what we are witnessing in Puntland. So there is inbuilt creativity. There is inbuilt solutions. But we just have to find what has gone wrong and what the role of the international community, and of course with the Somalis themselves, has been. Paradox number 5. Who said of the internet, but also of the telecommunications, the cheapest and the most efficient is in Somalia, in Africa. I think the biggest network of connections is outside South Africa, probably Somalia. The Habshil. These are great successes, honestly. The Somali business acumen is unparalleled. It is for this reason, I think in a matter of a few months, the East African country is going to consider Somalia's application to the East African community. I think they are most welcome, and they will dynamize the East African community. In August, you get an opportunity that didn't exist to choose new institutions and even to choose new leaders. And I think in the leadership and in new institutions may be the answers to the problem. And probably, I think your next book should be Getting Somalia Right. Thank you very much.
I suspect before that book, we'll see a book by Ambassador Augustine Mahiga called The 5 Paradoxes of Somalia. I think we really should wrap this up because Mary's father has to catch a flight tonight to London. And he would hate to leave this before it ends.